Yeah, we're back at it with Makhali. And now, Kali, man, I really want to get into the thing that we spend the most time on, sports, man.
Of course, man. G.
Yeah, you're a basketball fan, you're also a soccer fan, primarily a football fan.
Primarily a football fan. Yeah. Greatest sport in the world, bro.
Yeah, greatest sport in the world. Well, I feel like football is where you learn the community of sports.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think in Malawi, we know how our country is passionate about football. And it's a joy to watch.
I think it's just the ease of access of being able to play it, you know. Right. You just put 2 rocks and have it, you can and you're good.
Yeah, but I feel like as you get, I think at the grassroots level, that's how it is. But I think as you get older, the community is a bit, a bit spread out because other people stop.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you see people diverting into other things, like golf, basketball. Like that's how I started playing football.
Okay.
Yeah, because after marriage, I came back. I couldn't really, gel with the community of the footballers at the time. So yeah, man. So we're watching basketball. Who are your favorite players right now?
In basketball?
Right now.
Ooh, bro. Man, for some reason, bro, and this might be pretty ironic because he's people comment a lot on his athletic ability, but last 2-3 years, man, I've loved watching Dallas play, bro.
Oh, wow.
Luka's my boy, man.
Yeah, Luka's a legend, man.
He's got like a lazy elegance to him that can only be pictured by those kind of guys where it's almost like the game kind of feels like a lot slower to them, that they're in control of the game rather than control. Those type of people, when the game is hot and is energetic, most people's response is I want to be as fiery as the game is demanding to me to be. But I've loved watching somebody like Luka perform over the years. He's got like great personality to his game, and basketball. I
feel like how like Europeans players, they come out of that academy system that is in the football.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think in America they use the high school college system. They use the academy. I think that really helped Luka's development as a kid. And when he came to the NBA, he even said it's easier to score in the NBA compared to compared to
the EuroLeague.
The EuroLeague. So yeah, man. Is football still the same? Like, is it the same kind of development system? Because I'm seeing, I don't know what's going to happen after the obvious names go out, man. Is there a future?
Man, I can't lie. I will always be like a diehard football person. But I do genuinely feel like we've lost a bit of I call it the superstar. I feel like the last maybe 5-6 years we've seen like the decline of the superstar because teams demand so much more in terms of like overall performance in the team aspect, right? You hear football is generational. Playing styles are generational. You think about
depending
like
on the economics of the time, the finances.
But I feel like just like stylistically, like how Barca as a team, my team by the way.
Barcelona fan.
Like how they dominated like the sort of 2008 down to like I'd say 2013 when the tiki-taka style was what it is. Nobody saw a team be able to pass a ball like that. So what happens? So what happens is like generationally, people start to figure out or try to find ways of how do you stop tiki-taka. That's where now the current iteration, I think, of style which now phased into pretty much like the 2016 is going on this way.
Phase?
Not the MSN phase, but this is now like pretty much the emergence of a Liverpool, where like their style was very much based on high energy, pressing. Anytime somebody moves out of position, you've got like a supporting player that covers in, and players that are just naturally athletic.
Wait, so does Liverpool play a team? Is it team-oriented style,
it's
or is it
team,
depending on individuals?
It's a very team-oriented style because it demands, in order for it to work, you need everybody to do their parts. The moment you've got one player that is not doing his job because he's the so-called best player on the team, the system breaks because the pressing is about is about, covering a guy's passing lanes, you get, or where he can move with the ball. So you need somebody that is taking up his left side, his right side, and his front side. The moment one person is not willing to do that, there's an open lane that allows him to break the press.
Pressing really relies on that, let's say, the synergy between the players themselves.
Exactly. So it's very structurally oriented, you get. So tiki-taka was a style that allowed players to be dynamic by these guys were so good at passing that they had teams chasing the ball and eventually getting worn out. Pressing was involved, but pressing was only in initial phases of play when they lost the ball. Everybody talks about just like how Peps immediately when they lost the ball would converge and get the ball back, then re-engage the passing system. So football is generational in that regard. But what tiki-taka, the tiki-taka style was known for is, in as much as it was great to be able to pass, you needed that final finesse. That's why somebody like a Messi was integral to that system. Or you just needed people that understood the roles of how they cover up spaces when it's being attacked, when to make the through pass, a run, get into the box,
So I think it was a style of football that was very good to watch, and also, I remember when Spanish teams came over to like Britain, guys would just change their style of play. They would start parking buses.
Because the thing is, the English game is built off athleticism, being able to run and be able to be physical. But now if you're running and you can't touch the ball, then you're pretty much spending your energy. That's why they always seem to have gotten them down. Teams like I feel Bayern found like a great balance, but the Bayern Munich, obviously, as long as it is a historical club, found that balance between being able to pass the ball well, but still being able to maintain a level of athleticism. You get, for them it was sort of like a merge. What's happening now is, because teams have figured out how to beat the passing style, the high energy and pressing style has reigned supreme. And it's great to watch because it makes the game fast, it makes it more enjoyable. But the problem is, I feel it has eliminated the quality of the superstar player.
So it's not an individual kind of play.
It's very functional. It's a very functional system.
It's a survival system.
It's a very So it takes away from, and I just feel like over the last couple of years, we're constantly looking for what the next generation is. In terms of our next superstars. But I remember a time, man, even as far back as like 2016, when we're seeing, the likes of Messi in his prime, obvious names, but you see the Neymars of the world, you see like the Eden Hazards of the world. You saw the superstar was a very highly leveraged commodity. These days.
Every team, and having a superstar obviously gave you the publicity. I think even start of play was dependent upon the superstar. So I can see the decline now.
So I wouldn't necessarily call it a decline, but I would just say that it takes away, because the superstars are what bring conversation.
Of course.
We converse about teams, yes, but the superstar. Put it like this. I'm not a Manchester United fan.
Yes.
But boy, did I love watching Rooney play.
He gave you a point of focus.
Exactly. He gave me a point of focus that would always engage the eye of the spectator. Yes, the game might be great, but you want to see the superstars do something. That's what people pay for. People will always go and watch their teams, but it's the superstars that actually drive you to go and watch them. You see like prime Drogba, a guy that, just was the ultimate alpha specimen, being able to push guys off and be able to pretty much score on his own. So, football is in a decent place in terms of stylistically. I think games are enjoyable, but I genuinely do miss the quality of So what happens is, because of the functional demands of teams these days, even recruitment is based on that. Somebody might be a great dribbler, but can you track back?
No.
Somebody might be great at heading the ball, but how's his movement?
Fit in the system?
Does he fit in the system?
That's the current question. Same thing with, I don't know if you've noticed the Golden State struggles.
Yes.
The struggles are coming in because teams have caught up.
Is it a height? I've noticed height being talked about a lot in the Golden State team.
They don't really have a true center. And they don't have a true center. which means that, you know, they got Wiseman. You remember Wiseman?
Yeah,
he didn't pan
absolutely.
out because of, you know, he didn't live up to the expectations.
Yeah.
But then in terms of style of play, everyone, if you look at the NBA games, it's the same thing where guys are playing a sort of functional basketball, where it's like, okay, threes are better than twos. So we shoot threes, and get layups. So even the recruitment, you recruit someone who can shoot threes, who can get layups, and so it's athleticism, speed, and shooting ability. So now every team has someone who looks like Steph Curry. To the point where even now, you know, the Golden State can't rely on being what they used to be. Because remember that 2016 when they were, you know, they embarrassed,
when nobody could touch
everyone.
them.
You know, they could score. Let's say Steph would make 5 threes a game. That was more than everyone in the league. Now people are making 5 threes a game. Now LeBron is shooting 41% as close. So now, as you're saying, there's the style of play has eroded a sense of quality.
What does a team need? Because I still feel like in basketball, regardless of style, I still feel the superstar element does hold some water. I don't know whether that means you have 2 superstars a team, whether you have one that shines out and one that's a bit more supportive or complementary. I mean, you look at like Denver, for instance, Jokic. You know, in terms of skill-wise, his by the way, one of those guys that I feel like plays the game at his pace.
Yeah, exactly. Well trained, well fundamentals.
Yeah. Would you say what would you say about like success like this? Is it predicated stylistically? Is it based off like the superstar aspect? Like,
I'll give you this, man. Like, we'll go back to the same recruitment stuff. In Europe, they teach you the fundamentals. They don't give you a role as early as possible. You're playing a certain. They give you the fundamentals. Hey, this is how we play basketball. This is how you score. This is how you set up if you're playing down low. This is how you set a screen. So they give you the full package. In the States, you know, there's the superstar culture. So kids can get away with not having certain skills. As you're saying, a good dribbler, but doesn't have other skills. So we were seeing the players that develop are the ones that are fundamentally sound and they're fitting into let's say the statistical analysis. So that's affecting the style, because if you see in the 2000s, we even in football as well, you had Arsenal, they used to play a different style of football. Man U used to play different style. You had Chelsea, they had so even in basketball in the 2000s, we had the Celtics. They used to rely on 3-point shooting and big men. The Lakers was Kobe, and the Spurs, the team the passing team.
Passing dynamic.
So now all the teams are turning into just the same thing, man. I watched the Detroit game against Lakers. I heard this story. I was like, this game it wasn't even fun to watch, man. The quality was not there.
It just lacked something.
So it's just I think that's just the general consensus where the players that will succeed now will come from a system that gives them the basketball fundamentals, allows them to be diverse. They shouldn't come into the league with already defined role. But kid is gonna be doing this. No, I think we're not seeing in both sports. We're not seeing the team create a play outside with the players they have.
Absolutely,
they are creating a system and then force feeding that system with. That's how we're missing. I feel like that's how we're missing out on special talent in sports in general. Where
and that's not to say that we don't enjoy it. Still, it's just we're a little old school. Where we still value what those components are of these games.
I always go back to Ronaldinho, bro. I watched Ronaldinho. I was like, this guy is beautiful, man.
Superstars like Dino were the kind of people you watched do something and you wanted to go and try it immediately after. That was the beautiful part of it.
He transcended the sport.
Exactly.
He was like, okay, here's the superstars, you say. Superstar inspires the masses, and then it's a feedback loop.
Nike fed off of that one. Remember like Nike ads back in the day when it was Brazilian Ronaldo, it was Kaká, it was just that Brazil team. So those were the good days. It's funny actually because in as much as like, you know, we are centric in this, I find myself watching a whole multitude of sports because I just always love to understand the languages that different sports desire. Literally, recently, probably like 2-3 years ago, I got into MMA. I love MMA.
Oh, my brother loves MMA.
Yeah, I love boxing. You know, there's a I do some, I'm very early days, but I'm also into a little bit of boxing as well.
Shadow boxing.
Yeah. The NFL is a sport that I honestly have been watching a lot more, and I feel a lot more excitement for these days.
I love NFL because of, for me, the running aspect. I've never seen people cut like NFL players. Those people cut. They can go in straight lines, change directions, and this guy is big.
Why do you think these guys, like, as soon as they hit 40s, 50s, they can't walk no more, bro? Knees go through it.
Oh my God.
Knees go through it. I love it for the speed element is there. I love the physicality. It just like it's a brutal sport, but just the fact that I've heard experts and former players talk about it. It's about taking the soul of your opponent.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, making them feel like they showed up to this game and there's just nothing you can do because you're just getting battered.
Yeah, you just get. I mean, I've seen it, man. That sport is brutal, and I think it's the ultimate competitiveness. Because then, you know, in certain sports like, let's say, football, I'll give an example of volleyball as well, because there's no physical contact. So
yes,
you're
absolutely.
not really. There's a different feeling when you can you can put force on your opponent.
You know, like
legally.
You know how like in these the sports you're talking about, football, the right kind of slide tackle can get a crowd energized. In NFL, like the right type of tackle will get a crowd going. It's almost probably more valued than the aspect of just scoring alone. Like, you know. So I don't know. I guess there's also something about like the physicality, you know, as a man's game that makes you just feel like,
I love the NFL.
You know, so
it's a beautiful sport. I think maybe for us here in Africa, Malawi, we don't really have the opportunity to get outside. I don't know, man. Something about when football players getting outside of this, it's like they're being despoiled.
I will give you that it's a hard sport to get into because, you know, because of the brutality of it. You need lots of equipment and stuff to be prepared to. But one sport that I genuinely want to see, you know, Malawians, Africans as a whole get more into, MMA, boxing, bro. Because funny enough, there was a study that was recently done by the NFL recently that was looking at by ethnicity, the typical archetype of a specific type of player that would fit their league best by origins. Do you know what the results came out? I could be wrong by this. I seek to be corrected, but it was countries like Ghanaians, Nigerians, Senegalese people. These 3 countries by ethnicity in terms of the perfect type of player. Wedge stamped, bruh, as like this is the ideal type of athlete.
That's where, you know, even the best athletes in Africa are exported from.
Exactly.
From these countries.
Yeah. So I would love to see, and I'm glad because I feel like in MMA and boxing there is a good place, particularly in MMA because there's a bit more African competitors that are seeing like the successes of Israel Adesanya or Francis Ngannou, who recently crossed over.
Where is he from?
So he's from Cameroon. Francis Ngannou is from Cameroon.
Does he identify as a Cameroonian?
Yes, he does. Ngannou does.
Not like our brother Adesanya.
Our brother Adesanya loves to give both sides, but I kind of don't mind it because he does honor the fact that, you know, him being from New Zealand is what taught him. That's where he learned how to do it. You get? You know, where even like Francis Ngannou like learned to spar and stuff. He learned it when he went to Paris. When he left
French. I thought he was French.
No. So he's Cameroonian. So I understand why like both sides get there, you know. But yeah, I just love just like just the inspiration they give, the personalities there, and I genuinely believe I would be super excited to see, you know, just if more time is taken with people that are a young population that are interested in how it would look in years to come in terms of being a, you know, even just at not even just like necessarily at UFC or boxing level, but think about it just like in Olympic contention, right? Malawi just has like this lack of just like pure athletes in these little disciplines, you know, things like boxing, things like judo, martial arts, things like these, where I believe by body, by frame, by the right training, and obviously the natural gifts that we have, would be really good at things like these.
We live and die.
We live and die.
Of
course.
That's our sport. That's
the sport right there.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, but I feel like it's more of a development thing. Like we don't develop other sports outside of, let's say, football, because maybe we're limited in terms of resources. But that's what I noticed, and it comes, like I said, it comes to a certain point in age where you can't have more than 50 players of football. In a school, let's say in a school you have 50 players. People, almost everyone in schools play. So you're selecting the best 11. What about the other guys? Where do they fit in? They still have their athletic gifts. How do they express themselves?
But that's where the role of, just like now at an institutional level where it's hard to get that exposure if nobody sees them for what they're capable of. Right. If you've ever wondered, do you ever wonder why like a lot of in football, why like a lot of young superstars tend to be Senegalese, Cameroonian. We see them in the French league, we see them in the Spanish league, a little bit of Italy. If you notice like how there's a great representation of just like African and those specific countries, it's because they've identified themselves as being able to produce players that have that archetype that is great for teams. So what happens is these teams, the small teams that are looking for that new talent, because they are selling clubs, they want to pick talent up, sell it and make profit off of that, right? Obviously, see them succeed as well. They feed off of these markets. So they're looking at who is the hottest 9-year-old playing in, like local Zambian development leagues and stuff. So that's all through partnership. You get that's by reaching out to these institutions, these clubs, these academies, and telling them, hey, we've got and I'm not saying that I need to see like a Barca facility in the country, but I would love to see like exchange programs that are included. I'd love to see like competitions based around these where you're able to look at these talents. And who knows, man, for every 50 or for every 1,000 even, for every 1,000 kids that probably try to compete, in mixed martial arts or something, maybe you got 5 great ones that can represent you at
exactly at the Olympic, and having those let's just say I wanted to use hero, but there's another word where you can that I wanted to use. But then there's the hero of the country, because that one's the one that drives the market of whoever the players, whatever. Because this hero thing, I'll take you back to it. I'll take you into like motorsports. Like the way I got into motorsports is you first identified heroes, because at first when I saw motorsports, I was like guys are just driving cars around, they're just doing the same old thing. You don't understand the strategy, you don't understand the concept of the sport. But once I discovered personalities in the sport, like I was like, I'm more like him. Complex
personalities, because these teams have got like roughly around 50 guys per team, you get, and this is on 2 driver sides, you get, just managing. And so there's so much emotion, there's so much personality that builds within these spaces.
At first I was just like, okay, maybe it's about the drivers, and you think it's the principals that are even worse, man. Those guys are ultra competitive. Old men who are so competitive.
Bro, you should see the engineers. Just like how they get, and just that's the beauty of these things,
So I think that's what you're saying, that we don't have enough of those examples in multiple sports disciplines. I think that's why maybe we always gravitate to football, because everyone knows Messi, maybe Ronaldo, and then maybe the African guy who's done it, at the Gaba, the top dog who's played now. So I think I don't know, man. I don't know if we can convince people directly with the sport itself, but once we have a hero, someone who looks like us, someone who seems
that represents us at that level. I get you.
I think that's when we can start to see multiple like let's just say the movement of these disciplines, because I feel like we're capable, we have the athletic gifts, but then I think we're limited in expressing them to the world as well.
That being said, if you could replace basketball, which is your primary sports
Yeah.
with another sports discipline that you just love to experience? Like,
if I unlimited budget,
unlimited
motorsports, bro.
You get into motorsports as what, driver?
As a driver.
Yeah, there's a different adrenaline to that one.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I've never seen so much strategy and emotion in a sport, man. Bruv. I'll give you an example of, I don't know if you follow MotoGP.
Oh, bruh. Yeah. Oh, shout out to my boy, Pecco Bagnaia.
So the old MotoGP, I watched this documentary. It's called, I forgot the name of it. Anyway, but there was Valentino Rossi, Pedrosa, you know those guys.
Sergey Gibernau.
Yeah, no, that was before them.
That was before them?
Yeah,
okay.
So then there's this guy, Casey Stoner.
Australian boy. Casey Stone on the Ducati, bro. Oh, man.
And you know the funny thing is, like, one thing I liked about him is he was so he said he was anxious. You know, he had true emotion. He wasn't like the superstar that Rossi was. Where Rossi was loved. He was more of the underdog. He was like, I'm fighting for an opportunity. And to see that kind of character win, I was like, how did he do it? He used technique, he used trading.
Exactly.
He's saying, you know, there's a corner that's named after him that most guys don't know how to turn on because he knew how to drift.
Yeah, so and keeping in mind just how competitive the Yamaha was and the Repsol Honda within that generation. Ducati had to find where do we put a fine line into how we split up the power of these two teams, right? Of course, and the amazing thing is Ducati is actually, you know, in terms of power output, one of the best like in the sport. Straight line, undefeated. That's where they found their strengths. But Casey Stoner truly found the perfect balance of the bike working through corners, which is the amazing. It's one thing to have the power to beat someone in a straight line, but it's another thing to maneuver a corner and stuff.
Like the roots of what's this dirt biking. And Valentino Rossi went to Ducati and didn't succeed.
Exactly.
That was one. That's why I also gave him respect.
Had to go back to the Yamaha.
Went back home, man. So man, I think it's those personalities that we look for in sports. And in basketball, I found Kobe, Steph Curry, and the Tony Parkers. In football, Henry is out there, bro.
Henry is forever. The 14, bro. The 14. That JVC 14 was different.
Henry, I have my Henrys there. These are the personalities that I felt more represented by in the sport. Henry, obviously Ronaldinho. Recently, it's been Neymar. Neymar.
That's an interesting one.
To the point where I was so sad. You should have seen me when they lost the World Cup, but I was so sad.
I wasn't.
I was like, no.
I was good.
You see the goal he scored late in the second half.
I saw that. It's one of the frustrating ones because, you know, Neymar is one of the few but like, you know, when I would actually argue Neymar probably had the most highest expectations of any young footballer we've ever seen. Messi didn't come in under that pressure to survive, you know, nor did a Ronaldo. Neymar was balling out when he was 17 and was the star of his league at 17.
And I remember seeing comparisons with him and Messi. Oh, Messi scored 20 goals when I'm like,
I have this hot take that if my man's stayed at Barcelona, I do genuinely believe he would have gotten into the Messi Ronaldo category. He probably would have been the third of that trident because he had that level of ability.
He had one season. He was one season away from
entering into that stratosphere, you know, and I just feel the move to PSG kind of just like took away a bit of accountability for him. The attention to him also changed. We couldn't see him like every week.
Superstar.
He went for the ultimate superstar, you know.
I think which is the right move because, you know, as someone moving into retirement, I feel like he'll have a very good retirement because now he's been featured in movies, he's been featured in shoe deals.
But he would have gotten the same at Barcelona, bro.
Yeah, he would.
Do you remember like Neymar's the Champions League season where Messi? I remember Suarez talked about like in a documentary where like Messi was still opted to play as the false nine, and Neymar and Suarez were supposed to play on the wings. Messi told Suarez, nah, bro, you're going back to the 9 position. Messi was ready to feed those boys. It would have been the type of thing that Messi probably would have opted not to score as much, but he was ready to lay life out on a plate for these guys.
I think guys before him did that for him as well.
Exactly. And the leaving of, because Suarez was about like 33, 31, 32, 33 at the time that Neymar was still hot. And Neymar was around like 24 at this time. Suarez's contract would have faded out. It would have still been a team of him and Messi. Whatever Suarez was earning money and monetary wise, he would have easily been earning that.
But then you think about the history of where these players come from. And you know, they come from very poor backgrounds. I mean, anyone who's given that opportunity to make, you know, 200 million plus, it's always hard. You think about, life outside the sport. You know, you think about life in a broader sense. Like, what about family? What about this? And I think that's what it's the great sacrifice that most players will have to make. You know, where it's between being effective in the sport and getting a payday. It's always going to be a challenge. It's like, what's his name? Damian Lillard, right? In the NBA. He had the opportunity to stay with the Portland Trail Blazers. But then that means he wouldn't get it. He wouldn't have getting.
But the Portland Trail Blazers were trash.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, he took them.
Bro, that MSN Barca team. Bro, can you? Anyway, I'm a Barca fan, so I'm a little biased here.
Continue.
Bro, bro, those 3 consecutive Champions Leagues that Real Madrid got, oh bro, that hurt me so much. Bro, we would have broken that cycle easily, man.
I know the pain.
Anyway, he chased. He went for the ultimate payday and thought that at the same time he could bring the team up. I think just the frustration with me is that he thought that he could do it on his own. When just as easily he could have done it with these guys and these guys, because he was the youngest player in the 3 of them. At some point, they obviously would fade to the background, and we would want you to have. And I'm not saying that he would go beyond like the Messi line, right? Because I mean, it's a different stratosphere altogether. But I believe he would have been in that 3.
In terms of legacy, that's true. But then, and I understand what you're saying. In terms of legacy, he would have been the player. He would have been very visible. But then, like I said, like this is what they call. You know, what's his name? The Lakers coach. No, the former Lakers coach. I don't know if you know him. I forgot his name. He's an old. He runs the Miami Heat now. Okay. He says that in sports.
What's his name? Eric Spoelstra?
No, Eric Spoelstra. His manager is. How am I? He likes to wear nice suits. Okay. Yeah, anyway, I remember him when we get down. But he used to be a former Lakers coach, and he was saying, you know, playing basketball is easy. Or playing sports is easy, but it's the peripheral opponents that really impact the player's overall outcome. You know, you see, it's the women, it's the money, it's the showbiz. It's how does the player manage these peripheral activities that can impact the sport? I think in a young career, it's especially, let's say like the way Messi was groomed. He was very protected and guided along the football path. The team had a clear path to where it was going. But I think for a guy like Neymar, he came up in an age where, let's just say, those social media, those branding, all these things came at once, you know, and then include the amounts of money that are being spent. It's not the amounts of money that were being spent then. And then you're like, maybe, you know, it's the same thing how the Saudi teams are using the same tactic where overpay the athlete. And then he'll come.
And he'll come. He'll pull up.
Because it's a no-brainer. Like, what's his number? Says Nigane.
Yeah, I get you. But then at the same time, I don't believe those players are up to. It's the kind of thing where, like, I'm thinking of one of the players that recently moved there. Someone like the St. Maximan, you know, the guy who was at Newcastle last season.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He moved to Saudi?
He moved to Saudi. He is not going to ever get a contract like that. You know what I mean? Like, this is like, oh, this is my day. I'm going for it without question. But anyway, I do get the sentiment that you're making.
I think that's what issue. Like guys like Ferguson as well. Yeah. If you watch their kind of football, they didn't really enjoy having too much money in the sport. It kind of muddies the waters a little bit. It changes the sport entirely. Like even now in the Premier League. it's a game of money. It's pay to play kind of.
Yeah.
Richest guys get the most fun in the league. So unlike the old days where money was here and there, you had to manage your finances, use the scouting.
No, I think it was still there. The difference though was the money was still great. You were still earning pretty well, like as a professional player. It's just that the distribution was very, very consistent amongst the whole team. Beckham was almost different. Not necessarily because Manchester United were paying him more money, but his exposure and what he was doing beyond the peripherals made him more money.
I think that's one of his beefs with him as well.
That was it.
The peripheral activities.
It was taking attention away from the team, and
And I think, would you say Beckham is the first media superstar?
Yeah, absolutely. Football, absolutely, bro. I don't know if you've had the chance of watching like the documentary itself. Have you? No. Amazing 3, is it a 3 if not 4-part series? It's amazing. It gives you like a really in-depth feel of what it was like to be in the. And here's the thing, what I loved about it is that Beckham still found success. The thing I loved about the Beckham story is he's one of the very few Englishmen that challenged himself beyond the borders of what it is he knew, because then if it's not the Premier League, it's nothing else, So even though he wasn't as successful at a Real Madrid, he's still adored for the one league title that he won, because people wanted him to do well. Even though he wasn't successful as I was at an AC Milan or a PSG, he's still very respected in these.
Played at AC Milan.
Bro, twice. Twice, So he just had, he was ready to pursue that outer body experience, which is what I really love about. And in a way, I think that actually did well for his brand now, because English stars struggled to find that space now when they transition out of their career. Beckham, because his wife was a Spice Girl, was meeting guys in the industry and all this, because he played with the Figos and the Ronaldo Nines, because he played with the Beckhams, because he played with the Thiago Motas, and I feel like the appeal around him was more universally appreciated because of that level of exposure that he chose to have. So that's a guy that found, I think, the perfect balance of success to his level. But now, put it like this, it's the kind of thing where like in the documentary, not to spoil it for you, but there was a patch where like what was it? I think because of his relationship with Adidas, that is part of where the connection with Messi starts.
Right. So
as Adidas athletes, because of the sponsorship deal. I'm not sure what his deal with Adidas is, whether it's a life deal, but he still does promos for them. I mean, he still gets very healthy. Exactly. And his connection with Adidas is what led to, because Adidas sponsor Inter Miami, right? Those connections, Messi always said, like, man, I kind of love the work you're doing, the story you created, how you, like somebody who's a former footballer found himself owning, like a, partly owning a professional team. That's something that I would love to do. Told him like, hey, my boy, come through. That's the connections for you.
I think that's where it's at right now. Where I think for older players, it makes sense to make those money moves.
Exactly.
To move out. I think Beckham really cemented himself as a symbol. Because if you ask girls, I mean, back then, who their favorite players were, Beckham. It was Beckham wasn't the list. How was that Beckham? No one's saying like Henry or whatever. It used to be Beckham because he established himself outside of football as a pop culture icon. I mean, he's going to the state house. Is it state house in the palace? He's being invited and whatever. So I think his ability to transcend the sport. I think at the end of careers, it makes more sense.
Has a certain like value to it,
but not at the beginning of it. So yeah, man, it's kind of reminds me of what Kobe was doing, where he transitioned into a movie maker and stuff like that, because he was going there.
He was a transcendent athlete.
Transcendent athlete. And you see, most people relate to Kobe more than they do LeBron, because.
Fair, I kind of agree with that.
I mean, LeBron will have the stats, but then as a personality, as a hero of the sport, you have the Beckhams.
Kobe fan.
Kobe fan.
Bias. honest. But yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I was reading something from Karim Abdul-Jabbar. Karim is funny.
What do you say?
Yeah, he has some articles. So he writes, you know, Substack, the thing I was reading.
Yeah.
So he has a Substack account, and yeah, he writes his articles there about politics. So he's writing about his relationship with LeBron. He's like, I don't mind. He's like, he respects LeBron. Like, I know he's a good kid. He's done this. I like his social issues, but I feel like I was more inspired by Kobe. And in fact, he acknowledges LeBron's, but then he feels more inspired by Kobe, the person that he was, the struggles he's going through and whatever. So I think after a certain point, you know, it's the personality that remains that we all attach to, and then, you know, that moves on to other things in life, acting or whatever. We have other basketball players going to acting, like Kyrie did the acting thing, Neymar himself. Yeah, those are the career moves. That's the thing, they distract you
exactly
from the sport.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah,